Hey everybody, I'm David Magone. Last week, Dan Steele posted a really awesome transition on the Yoga Transitions page where he showed how to press from a seated lotus position to a handstand. And then after having done the handstand, he moved to a challenging posture called Urdvha Kukkutasana. That particular way of doing it, coming basically into Urdhva Kukkutasana from the full handstand, is relatively challenging. So today I thought I would build on the sliding up the mountain tutorial that I did last week by showing you how to essentially enter the posture from a headstand instead. And then finally, in part 3 of the sliding up the mountain tutorial, I'll show you how to do the full transition from Urdhva Kukkutasana, or rather from a seated lotus position upward to the full handstand. Now, when doing this, of course, you have to be able to sit in the full lotus. So if you're not able to do that, or it's a little bit tight, I would recommend doing some outer hip opening, like pigeon postures and things like that, and some stretches to open your adductors, your inner thighs. That can be things like the bound angle posture or Upavishta Konasana. Now, once you've done that, the secret is essentially finding the ability to create a dewdrop-like shape between your belt buckle and the base of your ribs. So what I mean by that is once in the lotus posture, rather than keeping the spine really long when you're trying to get into the balance, you have to shorten the space between the mid-front of your pelvis and your 12th thoracic vertebrae, which is right here about solar plexus level. So to do that, once you get your legs on the arms, you'll have to strongly pull the front of your pelvis up like you're pulling your pants a little higher. And at the same time, if you tuck your ribs downward in the front, that will essentially set a trajectory for your legs that will allow your legs to come a little higher up on the arms. That's really important because if they don't come high enough up, you just slide off your arms when you're trying to get into the balance. So to put it all together, you start with what we did in last week's tutorial. You begin with essentially sliding up the mountain. So for that, you plant your hands on the floor with fingers forward. You rock forward onto your knees. And from that position, you slide your knees up until they come just a little higher than the elbows. Now once you've gotten into that posture, you can bend the elbows a little bit and take the top of your head to the floor. Now from there, you pike your legs upward toward the ceiling to come to the upside down version of this posture. Now when you're finally ready to go for the full thing, you can draw your knees down towards your elbows. And at that point, you start pulling the front of your pelvis closer to your chin. You sort of unplug your arm bones and slide them away from the sockets. Now from there, you round your upper back just a little bit by belly crunching down to the front, and then pressing hard through your fingertips. You let your hips get a little bit heavier. And as you do that, you start to lift your head all the way off of the mat. Now at that point, you just kind of hold still, you breathe really deeply. You could come back to the headstand to bail, or you could lengthen your elbows just a little bit and practice sliding back down the mountain as we did in last week's tutorial. And at the end of it, you have a seat, and of course, come up and try the same thing on the other side. Now, in my experience, the most challenging portion of all of that is actually getting the head off of the floor. One of the most helpful things in my experience is just to imagine and visualize yourself doing it. When you get to that point, dig your fingers into the floor really hard, just sort of visualize, see as clearly as you can in your mind's eye where you're trying to go, and then let your body try to figure it out. And with a little bit of practice, you get up to the full balance. So have fun. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Take care.